Shedinja is one of the strangest Pokemon of all time. This Pokemon actually has the best ability ever made, Wonder Guard, an ability exclusive to Shedinja that grants a complete immunity to all attacks that aren't super effective. But there's a catch. Shedinja only has 1 HP. Literally, any form of indirect damage or any super effective attack at all will KO Shedinja instantly. For the most part, this Pokemon is just a gimmick, and it's not a great one, but it has its occasional uses in weird situations. Shedinja will often use a Focus Sash, which allows it to survive 1 extra attack. Safety Goggles is another popular choice, providing an immunity to residual damage from weather effects. And Heavy Duty Boots was a great new addition that helped out Shedinja a lot, providing an immunity to hazards. You sometimes see Shedinja in Uber's formats, where it can wall very specific Pokemon thanks to Wonder Guard. Shedinja is a bit of a counterpick or an anti-meta Pokemon, with this ability to punish enemies that don't have specific options. But when Shedinja was first introduced back in Gen 3, it didn't have access to any of these advantageous items to give it more chances to survive. In Gen 3, Shedinja isn't just bad, it's horrendous. I can't stress this enough. Gen 3 is a metagame defined by the Permanent Sandstorm of Tyranitar. In the vast majority of games, Permanent Sand is going to be on the field, which will KO Shedinja instantly. If Shedinja wins the lottery and faces a team without Tyranitar, it's still awful. The second most central mechanic in Gen 3 behind Sand is Spikes. The majority of teams have some sort of spike setter, and Shedinja obviously faints instantly to a single layer of spikes. Safety Goggles don't exist in Gen 3. Focus Sash doesn't exist. Boots obviously don't exist. I can't think of a worse metagame for Shedinja than Gen 3 OU. But for some reason, Shedinja was just used in one of the most important Gen 3 OU tournament sets of all time. Semifinals of Callous Invitational 7, an invite-only tournament with a prize pool of over $3,000. And against all odds, Shedinja won. How is that even possible? The majority of players would bring something safe and solid this deep into a tournament, play conservatively. But SuperEpicAmpharos, or C for short, is a player known for bringing some of the most ridiculous and creative teams in high-level Gen 3 play. In a previous video, I showcased one of their teams featuring the absurd combo of Exeggutor and Lunatone. In the previous game of this very set, C used Slacking, an infamously terrible Pokemon. And earlier in the tournament, C made expert use of Glalie in one of the most impressive games I've seen in a while against McMegan, one of the best Pokemon players of all time. Miraculously, C brought Shedinja in Game 2 of this set, and matched up against a team without Tyranitar to make sand, and without spikes. So Shedinja actually operated pretty well in this game as a defensive wall, not having to worry about the residual damage that usually threatens its life. But how the hell could C have possibly known that their opponent, Ban Manaphy, would bring a team lacking the 2 most central strategies in Gen 3? You'd have to be clairvoyant. It doesn't make any sense. I've never seen anything like this in a tournament game before. Well, this was actually a complete accident. C did not bring Shedinja expecting it to stick around for long and operate as a defensive Pokemon. The purpose of bringing Shedinja was actually for it to faint on purpose. You're probably wondering how that could possibly be good, using a Pokemon just so it can be sacrificed. Let me explain. Gen 3 has a unique mechanic, where if one of your Pokemon faints, the enemy cannot act at all. If you use Explosion, for example, in later games the enemy would be able to use a move afterwards, like a healing move, to counteract the damage they just took. In Gen 3, if you faint at all, the enemy can't act. They can't heal, or boost, or do anything. Explosion is sometimes used not just for its damage, but for this disruption effect that denies the enemy from taking their turn. You can use Explosion to guarantee a switch to Dugtrio and trap the enemy. Another way to feint your own Pokemon and prevent the enemy from acting is by sacrificing them to spikes. If your Pokemon is low enough to be KO'd by spikes damage, the enemy won't be able to act. This is another way you can guarantee a Dugtrio or Magneton trap, or bring in some other threat to regain momentum. Since Shedinja has only 1 HP, it is the most reliable spike sack in the entire game. If the enemy sets a layer of spikes, you can now use that Shedinja sacrifice as a guaranteed pivot into whatever you want, pivoting while also preventing the enemy from making a move. is very powerful. And even though in this case it means you're sacrificing an entire Pokemon slot on your team just for a single interaction, that was the reason C brought Shedinja. C was using a Dugtrio with full special defense investment that can live an Ice Beam from Blissey even after taking Spikes damage. So, if the enemy creates a Spike on the field and ever has their Blissey in, C has a guaranteed way to trap and eliminate Blissey that the enemy can't do anything about. Many teams rely on Blissey as their primary special wall, so dedicating 2 of your team slots to eliminating Blissey can actually be worthwhile. The idea is then to use powerful special threats on your team that would usually be walled by Blissey. But since you have this extremely reliable way to eliminate Blissey, now these special threats can very easily clean up and win the game. C was using a Calm Mind Raikou and Substitute plus Pataya Berry Kingdra on the team. With Blissey eliminated, it's not hard for these Pokemon to win single-handedly with their incredible special attacking firepower. So that was the plan. Use Shedinja as a sacrifice to get Dugtrio in safely and eliminate Blissey, enabling these special threats. But amazingly, C matched up against a rare team without Tyranitar and without Spikes, so in this game, Shedinja could actually be used the way the developers intended. Shedinja was completely immune to Suicune and Metagross and walled them outright, and eventually, C still managed to win the game by eliminating Blissey as planned, and sweeping with Pataya Berry Kingdra. And thanks to Shedinja, SuperEpicAmpharos is now in Grand Finals of Callous Invitational 7, and will be winning a minimum of about $1,000. Perhaps even more if they win the whole thing. Gen 3 OU just continues to amaze me. I cannot believe this happened in a high-level tournament set, but it did. I would like to once again make it clear that Shedinja is a horrendous Pokemon in Gen 3, and I would strongly advise against using it if you're a new player. Some of you get the wrong idea from my videos and think that you can just throw whatever you want on a team in Gen 3 and it will magically work. This is not the case. This Shedinja usage had a very specific purpose. It was not random at all, and it was a choice tailored to a specific tournament opponent. This team would probably not have a very good win rate on the ladder or general tournament settings, but this does go to show that high-level play in Gen 3 is really unpredictable and exciting. You truly never know what you're going to see next in these tournaments. Shedinja might just have the funniest niche use of any low-tier Pokemon that we've seen in high-level games. Glalie is used for its unique matchups into common leads, Roselia for its great utility options and nice typing against specific enemies. But the niche of Shedinja is that it's the best Pokemon in the game at dying. Even that is a noteworthy trait in Gen 3 OU, which is just funny. But this particular Shedinja managed to defy the odds and has made history today. Stay tuned to my own Gen 3 OU tournament that's beginning soon, ADV Revival, where me and some fellow community members will be uploading regular commentary on my second channel, Jimothy Gaming. Thank you to the patrons for your continued support. Become a patron to appear on this outstanding end screen alongside your favorite Pokemon. Thank you as well to everyone who has donated to the prize pool for ADV Revival. We are already at over $2,400, which is fantastic. If you'd like to donate, the link is down below. Thank you.
KO by one hit! It scattered Spikes!
The money got different.